Hey sports fans, are you in the market for Florida sports or just keeping up with the latest in the Panhandle? Palm Tree Sports is a dedicated audio hub to all things sports in the Sunshine State. We cover current events, big news, heavily favored opinions all across the NFL, NBA, MLB, and so much more. So come check us out every Saturday evening at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. For a down south education on Florida sports and athletics, it's hosted by yours truly, Corey Pujols, and is powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Hello and good evening, everybody. My name is Corey Pujols. I'm your host for Palm Tree Sports, brought to you by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. My apologies, guys, there. Happy Saturday. I hope you guys are enjoying the playoff weekend, I want to say, as we are now halfway or just about halfway through this first game. So far so good, man. This game's going pretty well. I don't know if you guys are watching it. If you haven't been, it's turning into a first half shootout between the Texans and the Browns. The Texans are currently rocking the lead right now, and they're looking pretty good. I think the score is 24-14, if I remember correctly. Last time I saw it, I'm flipping through a couple of channels because there is some college basketball on as well. So we'll talk about that in a moment, though, guys. But as I mentioned before, we have a big weekend coming up for NFL football due to the fact it's wild card weekend, and there's going to be a bunch of good games. Of course, starting with this one again, Texans and Browns has been a slammer so far. I can't wait to see how the rest of these games turn out, including Miami versus Kansas City. That's going to have, some huge implications for the state of Florida. Of course, Tampa Bay is going to be playing on Monday night. We're going to get into that. But first of all, as always, guys, thank you for joining me here on Palm Tree Sports Radio. I hope you guys are having a wonderful weekend. And let's dive on into it now. So to start things off, we're always going to go back to the city of Tampa. We're going to go visit Tampa Bay Buccaneers. My apologies. Now, Tampa Bay is in a very interesting location right now, sports-wise, okay? And the reason why I say that is because, well, this past year, check it out, okay? Tampa Bay had all three teams that play out of Tampa Bay make the playoffs. So that means that our Lightning team, the Bolts, of course, made the playoffs. They've been playing tremendous hockey over the last few years. Tampa Bay Buccaneers have made the playoffs each of the last 4 years, which I believe is the longest consecutive streak for Tampa Bay in our history. So congratulations to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers for making it 4 straight years. And, of course, the Tampa Bay Rays also made it to the playoffs. Unfortunately, the Rays are the only team that does not have a championship to their name here in the city of Tampa, and that's something that we're hoping to change very soon. But if that's going to change, we're going to need guys to step up in major ways. But obviously, the baseball season is not in at the moment, so we're not going to worry about that. The Tampa Bay Rays have made a lot of moves in the offseason. So, we'll get to that once we get close to the season and we know what our starting team looks like. That's going to be the important part, especially for us. We've been able to make the playoffs a lot, but we haven't won much in the playoffs. So, anyhow, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, on the other hand, 4 straight years, NFC playoff picture, 2-time division champ, 3-time division champ. Our first year we went through the wild card route, but each of the last few years we've been able to win the division. It's been relatively weak, so it is what it is. I'm not going to sit here and paint this picture like it's something more grand than what it is. Our division has been terrible, but even when a division is terrible, somebody still has to come out, right? And the Texans are showing that even in a relatively bad division, that doesn't make you a bad team. So hey, that's something very important for us to take into consideration, especially when we're going into the playoffs in the NFC, specifically for Tampa Bay. In the NFC, we're going to see a familiar foe. It's going to be the Philadelphia Eagles. We've played this team 5 times in the past in the playoffs. It was split before the last meeting, 2-2, but now it's 3-2 Tampa Bay. This is a team that, as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer, I cannot be a fan of. This is a team that, if I like Tampa Bay, I can't really like the Eagles as well, just due to the nature of how much early on in our rivalry that the Eagles dominated Tampa Bay. This isn't one of those rivalries where it's like Oklahoma, Texas, where like both of these colleges are storied and have a great history, and it's not quite like that. The Eagles have been around for a very long time. The Buccaneers only came around 1976. The first playoff meeting for Tampa Bay took place in 1979 against the Eagles, in which the Tampa Bay Buccaneers won that game. So that's a pretty cool thing. But then after that, the Bucs would go on to lose 2 playoff meetings in back-to-back years in 99, 2000, I believe it was, or was it 2000, 2001? I think it was 99, 2000, if I remember correctly. And it took the following meeting, in 2000. No, it was 2000, 2001, because it was 2002 that Tampa Bay Buccaneers were able to vanquish the Eagles at Veterans Stadium. It was the last game played at Veterans Stadium. And for those of you who are familiar with Tampa Bay history, coast to coast, Rondé Barber is the call made by, I believe it was one Gene Deckerhoff. It was absolutely magical moment. It was definitely one of the greatest moments as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. In my humble opinion, it's the greatest moment in Tampa Bay Buccaneer history because it delivered us our first Super Bowl. There was no question that when we faced the Raiders that we weren't going to win that game, and that was something that we saw when Tom Brady got here as well. When the Chiefs got here, everybody counted us out, but we knew we were going to win that game. It was home game. If you saw the game, you saw Tampa Bay was represented. We knew. All right, so that's something to take consideration for when the Bucs make the playoffs, especially when they have to see the Eagles. Again, the Eagles knocked the Bucs out of the playoffs 2 years in a row, and that was it was a really hard thing to deal with, especially when you knew that Tampa Bay's defense was that elite at the time. So we're thinking here something similar, actually, that our defense is going to be elite, and then in order to win this game, our defense is going to have to shine. Now that game is going to come January 15th. That's Monday on 8:15 p.m. So if you're looking forward to watching the Buccaneers play ball, it's going to be a prime time on Monday night, like the Monday Night Football game during the regular season, only with huge or much more huge implications than the regular season has to offer. Now, Tampa Bay has a lot of momentum going into this game. They've won 5 of 6, but it hasn't been a clean 5 of 6, okay? Excuse me, my apologies, guys. When I say it hasn't been a clean 5 of 6, I mean we won 4 in a row, and we had a very ugly game against the Saints. Okay, very ugly game. 4 turnovers. Looked like we were about to let the season slip away, but here comes the defense, and they pitched a shutout in the final game of the season. I understand the Panthers aren't a great team, and scoring 9 points isn't exactly the best way to win a game. But I'm gonna have to look at it, from the optimistic point of view, and be happy with the opportunity that we have here in the playoffs, because we do have a huge opportunity here to be able to beat the Eagles at home. It's a home game, right? And I mean, I don't just see the Eagles having what it takes to beat us right now. Now, I get it. The Eagles on paper are the better team, but the Eagles are dealing with a lot of injuries right now. Okay, Jalen Hurts is injured. A.J. Brown is injured. Devontae Smith is injured. And then that secondary is just questionable. It's been suspect all year. That defense has been relatively horrendous all year, to say the least. And, when Baker is on, he doesn't fall off. That's one of the things about Baker. When he's on, and he hasn't been healthy either. But I think he's in a relatively better location as far as health-wise this is concerned than Jalen Hurts. And the reason why I have to say is because Jalen Hurts' injury was a finger injury to his throwing hand. So whenever you have a quarterback that has a throwing hand injury, it's one of those things where it makes you wonder, like, hey, listen, do I feel comfortable about starting him? If he dinks his hand, how bad is it? Is he going to be off? I would fully suspect that he's going to go. It's a playoff game. They're going to need him. But even still, they only put up 10 points against the Giants last weekend. The Giants aren't exactly a great football team right now. And that was a game that they should have, actually taken serious and tried to win, which I believe that they did, but just could not. They turned the ball over so many times in the last few weeks, and it really, looks good for us, with them heading into the game with as little momentum as they have, with us having the momentum of winning 5 or 6 games to wrap the season. I mean, everybody thought we were dead in the water, 4-7, and there's no way it's going to work out. And then boom, the Bucs just go off. So that was something exciting to watch. Just week after week after week, seeing the improvement, seeing the team play well. And this is something that now we hope to replicate here in the playoffs, because if we can find that, if Baker can get hot, if Baker can stay healthy, and this defense can play the way they've played, over the last few weeks, to say the least, we're going to win, and we could go, but again, Baker's going to have to go off. Baker's going to have to be 100% healthy. He's going to have to make great choices all the time. He's got to continue to try and take care of the football, because in a lot of games that we lose, that's part of the issue. We're turning the ball over too much. Baker is not always responsible for the ball being turned over, but he is the one player that touches the ball every single down. So, I really hope that he's able to find that switch here and become playoff Baker, and really give it to the Eagles. Let me just say it how it is, right? Obviously, this isn't a match made in heaven or anything like that. This isn't a tender swipe left or any moment like that. We don't like the Eagles, okay? And the Eagles don't like us. So good luck to the Bucs. Eagles, I hope you guys fall flat. It is what it is. I got a lot of friends. I got coworkers. I got friends. I got people I grew up with, middle school, high school, who are Eagles fans, okay? And I know they're rooting for the Eagles, but listen, we got to keep it. We got to stay loyal, and we got to rep the city. I was running around town earlier today, in my I'm gonna say run around town. I was doing my community service this morning, and I had my Tom Brady jersey on, my Tampa Bay Tom Brady jersey on, and it's always a lot of love when everybody see that, because obviously what he was able to bring to us was phenomenal, and we're hoping Baker could do something similar here, and especially with the fact that Baker's pedigree this year, getting it for $4 million and him performing the way that he performed this year, I'm pretty sure people are looking around and saying, okay, that guy Jason Light is brilliant, and that kid Baker Mayfield is pretty talented quarterback, okay, despite what you guys may have seen from him in the past or the opinions that you guys had of him coming out of college football. So listen, winners of the winners of 5 of the last 6, okay, I think that kind of momentum heading into a wild card game is something that you can carry with you. You got to try not to pay attention to the score, because every week is different, every team is different. But this is a home game for us. The weather's going to be relatively good. I think it's going to be like early 60s. Around that time, maybe just below 60. But guys, just for context, down here in Florida, it's so humid. There's a lot of water everywhere, and as a result of that, whenever it's cold, we get a few different kind of colds. The dry cold is always okay. Like, whenever it's dry cold, it's not really that cold. Like, there's a difference between dry 55 and like wet 55 down here. So if it's a dry 55, you couldn't ask for hardly better weather. I mean, maybe 60 degrees would have been slightly better, but I mean, let's just be honest here. In the South, if you got it 55 and it's a dry 55, that's normal operation right there. Like, there's nothing really to be concerned about. If it's a wet 55, that's a different ball game, okay? Because it gets ridiculous down here, like, when it's like that. So that's just something else to take into consideration here. I don't think it's going to rain either. So, as long as that's the case, Tampa Bay should be in their element, be able to play well, especially right now against the Eagles team that's suffering as much as they are. So that's what's going on there between the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Eagles. But can the Bucs win? Yes, absolutely, the Bucs can win. I don't think the game is going to be as close as we think it is. Obviously, Jalen Hurts, if he starts, he'll play, and he'll do his best to play well, and I know there'll be a sense of urgency for that team, but I think that team is in such disarray right now, and more importantly, the Tampa Bay Buccaneer defense is playing as well as they have been, maybe as well as they played all season, in all honesty, since the beginning of the season. If you guys remember opening the season 3-1, Tampa Bay was looking relatively good. So, if the Bucs continue to play defense on that level, if Antoine Winfield has, another big game, the Bucs will win this game. They might even just win it comfortably. Now, I don't want to be too bold, but I have this feeling. I have 2 feelings, okay? One, the first feeling is that Antoine Winfield Jr. is going to show one more time why he is the defensive player of the year. The kid is absolutely possessed right now in terms of football. I mean, he's putting up one of the best safety performances ever, honestly, by a safety, guys. I mean, you guys want to go look at some stats right now. I'm going to tell you something right now. You're going to see something and be like, wow, okay, why are we not talking about this kid, okay? Now, we all knew he was going to be something special, especially coming out of Minnesota, but realistically speaking, the guy's the best safety in the league, and I don't even think it's really that close, especially on a team with such a differential. Kyle Hamilton's the other guy that you hear a lot of people talk about over there in Baltimore, but Baltimore has a cohesive unit both offensively and defensively. Our team is relatively brand new. We've got some old pieces, but our quarterback's new, our offensive line is new, our coach is a defensive-minded coach, and when you have those things in play and you see what Antoine Winfield's been able to do, it's one of those things where I really think that he'll have a big game. I wouldn't be surprised if he has if he forces a turnover that leads to a touchdown. I do suspect that the Bucs will find about 10 points off of turnovers, maybe even 13. Best case scenario would be 14. But I really see the Bucs creating some turnovers on defense. I really see them getting behind over to Jalen Hurts, who has low-key been one of the most sacked quarterbacks in the second half of the season. And if the Bucs can do that, they'll win a runaway game. I wouldn't be surprised to see. I'm gonna say my idea for the score will be 31-20 Bucs. And I'm gonna put 20 just because of the history that the Eagles and the Bucs have. I think late in the game, the Bucs or the Eagles may try to make it a game, but I think the Bucs come out and they control the tempo. I think Baker Mayfield finds his rhythm. As long as he's healthy, we shouldn't have a problem. And I also think that the run game gets going. It really makes it a little bit easier for the Bucs to open up that pass game featuring Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Also look for Cade Otton to find some touches as well over there at tight end position. The tight ends haven't been utilized as much as we normally like to utilize them, so that's something I could see Dave Cannell's really opening up, especially with that PA and the rollout that we're going to see on Monday. The second thing that I believe is going to happen is that Baker's going to go off. I think that Baker is due for one of those nights where we look at him and we say, okay, maybe it's time we put some respect on Baker's name. I know it's been a shaky year, but it's his first year in this system. It's the first year being given a team, and a decent team at that, and saying, hey, listen, here are the pieces. Here's what you need, bro. You know, and you have the team, you have a decent defense, you have tremendous wide receivers. Here you go, bro. And Baker has, I'll be honest with you, he's played well. I will admit that I will take this performance over a lot of performances that we've seen by other past Buccaneer quarterbacks, Tom Brady not included. Y'all know that's my GOAT. But good job, Baker, this year. Again, I think that he goes off. I think Antoine Winfield goes off. I also think that Devin White goes off as well, just for a few other tidbits. You know, and obviously we're spending a little bit more time on this because this is a playoff game. I'm giving you guys some in-depth ideology about how Tampa Bay runs their defense. And they run it through the linebackers, okay? Like, they run it through the linebackers. And with the linebackers, Antoine Winfield Jr. gets to kind of play over the top like John Lynch used to. If you guys remember how John Lynch was like Darrelle Revis. He didn't mind being on an island with a receiver. The guy was just absolutely phenomenal at creating separation between the ball and the receiver, and he's also been known to have quite a few interceptions throughout his career, that one John Lynch. Because of that logic and understanding that we have a player that's on the same level in Antoine Winfield Jr., we're going to be able to see that really unfold here against the Eagles, especially since, like I said, they're so banged up on offense right now. So, again, look for Antoine Winfield to have a big day. Look for Devin White to have a big day. Absolutely believing in Devin White for this matchup. He's definitely going to be a key to this game as well defensively. And then I would say the third person I'm looking at, albeit, you know, you might think the corners because, you know, the 1 and 2 receiver are shaky positions right now. I would say that the other guy that we need to pay attention to is number 0, Yaya Diaby. Yaya has quietly had one of the best rookie seasons by a defensive edge rusher that we've seen in recent history. And if you haven't seen his work yet, go check it out. The guy's only started about half the season due to injury. But since he's been in the lineup, he's been an absolute terror, at edge, and he's been able to amass, I think, 7.5 or 8.5 sacks on the season. You know, the guy's just absolutely balling on a different level. He's a monster of a man and has a great personality as well. So I look for him to have a sack and a half, perhaps 2 sacks during this game against Jalen Hurts, and even possibly force a fumble. So, you know, he's also very stout when getting into the run game as well, getting up there into the box and helping to plug those holes. So I look for Yaya Diaby to have a big day as well. And then, of course, on offense, the typical, the regular suspects, the usual suspects, if you will, Baker Mayfield, Rachaad White, Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Cade Otton, guys. Look for those guys to have big days as well on offense. That's what's going on with Tampa Bay, guys, though. Again, with the Eagles losing 5-6, we had to kind of talk a little bit more about that, get a little bit more in depth into it as to what to look out for on Monday. But like I said, Bucs win big, I think 31-20. Obviously, if they play exceptional defense, I even hold them to 17 points there on the Eagles, 2 touchdowns, a field goal late, or maybe a field goal early and a touchdown late. Who knows? But Bucs are going to win this game, in my opinion, and then move on over to the next round. Hopefully, they'll be able to host again. Keeping these games at home have been massive for Tampa Bay in its history, and obviously, it's something that we look forward to doing as well, in the future. And, if things go well, again, Baker's going to be looking like a payday, and hopefully Mike Evans stays here. We're able to put some money together and be able to pay these guys and keep them here in the Buccaneer uniform for the rest of their careers, hopefully, So go Bucs. Can't wait to watch that game Monday night, 8:15 p.m. prime time. Be there. I'll be there. Can't wait to see it, guys. Let's move on to the other 2 teams here in Florida. Obviously, we'll talk a little bit more about Tampa Bay, of course, because the Jaguars, womp, 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 let us down, okay? Now, this is a good question. So let me answer this question first before I go on to the Jags. How are you liking the Bucs' chances? That's the most interesting game on the wild card round. I agree with you, T-Rod. I do agree with you 100%. You see, the thing about wild card weekend is, one, that usually the team with momentum is the one that carries on, and plays well the most, right? So I think that momentum is the biggest part of football. I think it's the unwritten gravity portion of football, if you will. That's why I would equate momentum to gravity, because it's always absolute and it's always there. It just changes, right? Like, it just, one minute it's with one team and the next minute it's with the next team. It's very hard for us to see teams like the Ravens or the 49ers. I would say the Ravens more so than the 49ers just carry momentum all year long with these little bumps in the road that that they're able to just overcome because of how much momentum they have going on, how much they're in their rhythm. In martial arts, we call it the flow state. Obviously when you reach that flow state, you're just untouchable. You're hitting them, they're not hitting you. It's the same thing with the game of football. And I think that Tampa Bay, even though they haven't played well, the last 2 weeks offensively, I also believe that was due to, an injury had a lot to do with that with Baker Mayfield, and them not feeling like they can rely on Kyle Trask is also a big part of it. So I think if Baker stays healthy, that the Buccaneers have a phenomenal chance. I think their percentage is probably a little bit more overwhelmingly in their favor, just due to the nature of what we've seen happen to teams when they lose star players. And it's not like it's just one or two players. I mean, you have the quarterback who's shaky. You have the 1 and 2 at receiver who is shaky. And then I believe they also had injury to offensive line. So you don't really want to have an injury against this defensive line here, featuring Villa, featuring Yaya Diaby, as we were just talking about. Obviously, Logan Hall. There's Kalijah Cansey. On the other edge, if Sebastian Dennis is going to play, he'll be in the lineup, and obviously there's Devin White and Levante David, who are two of the very best blitzing linebackers. They know how to get home, and both of these guys record sacks every year for a reason. So I think that the Bucs have a phenomenal chance to win this game as long as Baker stays healthy. If Baker is not healthy, we're going to have to look to a young but relatively fresh Kyle Trask to come here and try to lead this offense. Who knows? It could be his coming out party if that were to be the case. But realistically, Bucs have a really good chance. And I think that the defense is what carries Tampa Bay. I think the defense makes this game a little bit easier for us, specifically at the defensive line and safety and linebacker positions. I don't think that the corners are going to have to worry about doing too much, because we all know that if the Eagles are going to try to find success, it's going to be through the run game with DeAndre Swift. The Buccaneers have been 5th in the league against the run this year, and they've been relatively good against the run each time that we've made the playoffs for all intents and purposes. So, Bucs hold the run game, forces Jalen Hurts to have to pass and improvise. I think Devin White spies on Jalen Hurts a lot. I think Devin White has a pick. I think Antoine Winfield has a pick and possibly even a forced fumble. I think we get to Jalen Hurts 3 or 4 times in the game. Turnover margin +3. And Bucs win this one big, 31-20. That's what I think for the Bucs' chances as far as this game being broken down on Monday night. That's what I think. Like I said before, go Bucs. We have everything that it takes to do it. We just got to turn it on. That's it. And if we do, we'll head to the next round of the playoffs, and maybe even further after that, because it would be interesting to see a Niners-Buccaneers rematch after the last 2 meetings between the Niners and the Bucs went to the Niners. This year's was only a 13-point differential, if I remember correctly. So how interesting it would be to see this team much more mature throughout the season, and hopefully as healthy as possible as well. But yeah, that's what I think about the chances for the Buccaneers, So that's my answer for that one, my man. Let's slide over to the Jaguars. There's not really much to talk about the Jaguars. That's the good part, because obviously they lost. So, I mean, the only thing I want to ask the Jaguars, what were y'all doing? You guys, you had the division in the bag. You had the game won, and it wasn't a great team either. I mean, let's not act like the Titans, but hey, listen, I get it. King Henry had to go off one last time in Tennessee. Odds are he's not going to be there next year, hence this goodbye speech after the game and all of that. So, I get it. But guys, I mean, you didn't leave it all on the field. You guys kind of didn't show up at the end of the game when y'all needed to most, and Titans were able to run away with that 28-20 victory there last week. That's unfortunate. You guys missed the playoffs because of it, and man, dude, and that division is not like that division was good. I mean, let me put it for reference. A rookie won the division, okay? Jags, just think about that for a second. That should light a fire underneath y'all, especially this offseason with a great head coach like Doug Peterson, with the talent that you guys have on the board. You guys fumbled terribly, just like T-Rod said here, man. You had to win that game, and you didn't. And that's... There's no bright side to this situation. You guys roll into the offseason, you guys get to take a break, but you guys are going to have to get in the lab and start figuring out what chemicals do what, because your team has no chemistry. Okay? I mean, right now, you guys look terrible. Second half of the season was absolutely horrific for you guys, and like I said, going to have to get back in the lab and see what happens there. That's what's going on with the Jags. Period. The end, guys. And hopefully they're able to come out a little bit better. We'll see as we move further into the offseason, after the playoffs are done, what kind of moves they decide to make. I don't think Doug Peterson is really the problem. I think that, unfortunately, as much as I like T-Law, he's been a bit of a problem. He hasn't played football as well as he could be playing right now, and especially hasn't reached his ceiling here in the NFL. I think you guys have a lot of pieces that you guys can turn into something successful, but, I think we're going to have to start asking the question, is T-Law the answer, or are you guys going to have to start looking elsewhere at quarterback, okay? And I hate to say that, because I love T-Law, but I think Doug Peterson has showed his proof in the past that he is a good coach. He's won a Super Bowl with the Eagles, which is a team that's still successful now. So, I think that a lot of that framework might have been developed there when he was there. And, now it's just carried over and it's translated very well for them versus, where the Jags are right now. And again, the Jags have a lot of talent. So, we'll see what happens there. The Fins, on the other hand, all right, they fumbled the ball, or not fumbled the ball, but fumbled the bag last week as well. However, they had done enough throughout the regular season to earn themselves a wild card position after losing to the Bills 21-14. So the Fins will be playing here wild card. They're going to be visiting the Chiefs. That's going to be a very good game. Of course, Tyreek Hill's going to be playing his old team. Now, they hooked it up earlier this season as well. I believe the score of that game was 21-14 Chiefs. I believe it was Tyreek Hill caught a swing pass out to the left on the weak side, and he ended up fumbling the ball. That fumble was then returned for a touchdown by the Chiefs, and if I remember correctly, that's how that game ended. So, this game's going to be very interesting. One touchdown ball game last time. Both of these teams finished with the same record, rocking 11-16, or 11-6. Jesus Christ, 11-16 would be terrible. Oh my gosh. 11-6 record for both teams coming into this game. However, the Chiefs will be hosting the Fins. The Chiefs were able to win their division, of course, so that gives them the right to do so. And guys, this is going to be a very interesting game. That game takes place tonight at 8:10 p.m. The Chiefs hosting the game is huge because Miami has to play in extremely cold temperatures, guys. Now, I don't know exactly what the temperature is going to be at, but they said it was going to be like 20 or less. I don't want to give you the wrong information, but guys, they said that the game was going to be a very, very cold game, and that's something that -20. Okay, Jesus Christ. A wind chill of -20. That's insane, guys. Okay, so that's what I meant when I heard. Obviously, this isn't something that we're gonna know exactly until we get there. We get to that 8 o'clock showtime. Obviously, Kansas City is not Miami. Okay, so for a team that's used to training here in the tropical South, I live in Tampa. Tampa is. I live in Brandon, but Brandon is right next to Tampa. It's basically Tampa, okay, guys? If you've ever been to Tampa, you know what I'm talking about. But Tampa is 3 hours away from Miami, okay, for reference, guys. So for all of you who wonder how that works, yes, they don't fly to whenever Miami and Tampa Bay play each other, it's just a ride. It's just a bus ride. There's no flying, okay? It's 3 hours away. Each city has their own aesthetic. People from Miami come to Tampa. People from Tampa go to Miami. It's just a thing, all right, guys? So when you live in a tropical paradise, and let me tell you, it's a tropical paradise. I was just outside earlier today doing community service, and I had to take my hoodie off, because it just wasn't, cold. And personally, I love it. I'm sorry I'm not rubbing it in y'all's faces or anything, but I love it. I love this tropical paradise stuff. But on the flip side, when you're from Miami and you're traveling to Kansas City, guys, I can't stress this enough, okay? It is very, very hard for teams that are accustomed to, this kind of weather to play in 0 degrees with a wind chill of 20, okay? I cannot. So if the Chiefs run away with this game, just understand it's by the virtue and the fact alone that they live there. I'm not even going to say it's a talent differential because the Chiefs haven't exactly been, defending Super Bowl champs to say the least, okay? They've looked very shaky at times this year. And they have the most drop passes in the NFL by any receiving core. When you have a quarterback as gifted as Patrick, just drives me crazy that so many of these receivers just dropping balls left and right. But make no mistake about it, again, the tremendous advantage that Kansas City has is definitely going to be playing in this cold weather, guys. I mean, I don't even know what other terminology to use. Like, what's sub-zero temperatures? I mean, what is it, Batman bad guy or something? You get what I'm saying, all right? This is going to be a tough game for Miami. So, go Fins. Hopefully you guys can summon something. I don't know. A jacket, maybe? I don't know. But you guys are going to need some help there to win that game. The weather itself is going to be stressful. Hopefully you guys are prepared for it. If you're not, it's going to be a rough one, guys. That's all I can say. Yeah, I also have the Chiefs winning there as well, T-Rod, bro. I just interception by the Texans, and he's got a lane. It looks like the Texans are starting to run away with this game. This is going to be a pick six, boys and girls. Yep, pick six Texans. 30-14. Dang, Joe. Anyhow, I'm sorry to get, a little sidetracked there. If you guys were watching the game, you guys saw the exact same thing I just saw. What a tremendous play there by the Texans defensively. Wow. But yeah, so the Fins, though, right? Obviously, like I said, I have the Chiefs winning this game as well. The Chiefs won the regular season meeting and the temperature was normal. So that's my logic. The Chiefs won the regular season, game, and they did it without help. Now they're gonna have help via Mother Nature, and that by itself should be able to push that into the Chiefs bracket for a W. That's what I believe, at least. In any case, again, after losing the division to the Bills last week, I think that was the big deal. I think that was something that they really didn't really consider as far as doing the math would be concerned. If the Fins had won that game, I believe they would have won they would have won the division if they beat the Bills last week, and that means they wouldn't have hosted. Actually, no, I'm sorry, I'm incorrect still again. I think that the team that they would have played would have been different. Of course, they'd be playing Pittsburgh instead of the Chiefs. But hey, this is what happens. Again, you got to play all the way through the season. Miami, that's just what it is. You guys should have won that game. Anyway, that's my honest thoughts about what's going on there here in South Florida. Again, Jacksonville missing the playoffs, so unfortunate. Want. We're not going to really worry about them. But, of course, for Miami and for the Bucs, good luck to both teams. I think the Bucs win theirs. I think the Fins lose theirs. And I think we move on next week and we talk more about it, guys. Let's go ahead and get to our first break of the evening. When we get back, we'll talk NBA and then NHL. We'll close things off with some college basketball, guys. Of course, no baseball to talk about. And then, of course, college football all wrapped up. Florida State going through the issues that they're going through. Not really anything to talk about because, obviously, they want to get out of the ACC, and that's the gist of it. The Gators rebuild. DJ Lagway, High School Player of the Year award. What else is there more to say? And then, of course, the Miami Hurricanes in a state of complete disarray after the way their season ended, especially losing out to Rutgers in that ball game. So, hey, again, not much to talk about there. There's the little synopsis of college football, if you will. But like I said, when we get back, we'll cover those things. And then we'll close it out from there, and I'll get you guys ready for next week. Thank you for having a locked here at Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pools, your host. And as always, this is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
Well, what is up, Carolina Nation? This is John Felipe of the Carolina Cast, of course, the podcast of, by, and for the Carolinas, right here on IE Sports, your direct feed for all that is sports. And I'm reminding you to tune in Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern for the latest in Carolina sports, whether it's the Panthers that keep on pounding, the fly natures of the Hornets, the storming Hurricanes, the battle of the Blues with Duke and UNC, the fight of the Clemson Tigers, or the amazing atmosphere of any Carolina college. I'm talking App State, I'm talking ECU. I've got you covered. Once again, tune in for the Carolina Cast with me, John Felipe, Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's happening, sports fans? Are you a fan of Southern California sports? Are you looking for a show hotter than a hot summer day in California? Then look no further than the SoCal Supreme Sports Show, where I talk about all things Southern California sports. That's right, all sports teams from Southern California. From the hard-hitting tackles of the NFL, to the killer crossovers and big three-pointers of the NBA and WNBA, to the grand slams of the MLB, to the bone-chilling goals of the NHL, and to the booming kicks of the MLS. The SoCal Supreme Sports Show has it all for you. Oh, and let us not forget about the college sports as well. So join me, Taryn Rodriguez, every week here on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
That's a guy that knows what he's doing over there, T-Rod over there in SoCal. Gotta check that show out if you're on the West Coast. Gotta check that show out if you're on the West Coast, guys. But welcome back to Palm Tree Sports Radio. We're on the East Coast, baby. My name is Corey Pujols, your host, and as always, this is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Browns got the ball back after that pick six, and they're going to try to do something with it, but it's starting to look like the Texans have all the momentum here, and as we were talking about earlier, the momentum is going to carry them into a victory is what it looks like here. Early in the third, 5 minutes, 20 seconds left if you're watching. But let's get into some NBA action, guys. Let's talk about what's going on here in the South. Now, the last few weeks, the last 2 times, actually, I've come to you guys, you know, the Heat and the Magic have been rocking the exact same record, and eventually they're going to run into each other, and then we are going to see, you know, who was going to win that game, who was the better basketball team here in Florida this year. And as you would imagine, the Heat were able to edge out the Magic. There's a very interesting game that was being played there. You love to see it, though. It was a really good game, in all honesty. Came down to the end. Bam Adebayo had a big game. About what you expect from the big man himself. You know, that guy's balling. Obviously, the rest of the team, Eric Spoelstra inked the new deal. He's looking good, feeling good, coaching good. Got the boys, you know, winning, which is what you like to see. And with a 22-16 record, drops the Magic to a 21-17 record, a game behind, if you will, and obviously tiebreaker headed Miami way. The score of that ball game, 99-96, very close game, 3-point ball game there, so congratulations to the Heat, big game there, Dad. Hey, man, we talked about it, right? You know, 2 of the better-looking teams here in the East, and of course they were able to... Oh, my God, Joe Flacco just threw another pick 6. No! Oh, my goodness. Oh, Joe. Damn. That's a sad thing, guys. If you're watching the game, Joe's hanging his head a little bit. It's, hey, look. Damn. Back-to-back pick 6s, man. What did I say about Houston having all the momentum? That's a killer right about now. 37-14 Texans. Jeez. I'm glad I'm not a Cleveland Browns fan. I'm sorry to all the Cleveland fans out there, guys. Like, Jesus Christ, that's not good. That's not good. 38-14 Houston. All right, then, Houston, go ahead, then. Go ahead with your bad selves. Back to the NBA, guys. I'm sorry for that switch up so quick, but again, what a turn of events, right? Like, this is not what you expected to see against, you know, the Cleveland Browns. You know, best defense in the league, but Jesus, where's the offense at, guys? Anyhow, back to the NBA, guys. Again, close game between the Heat and the Magic. Great game at that. Bam Adebayo down the stretch, able to be too tough for the Magic to handle, and that's what led to that game. The next game for the Heat, though, is going to be against the Hornets. The Hornets are one of the worst teams in the league right now, so this should be a gimme for the Magic. They should improve to 23-16. After this game, that game will be tomorrow night at 6 p.m., just in case you're checking out some Magic basketball. If you want to see what they're going to be good at, odds are they're going to be able to show it. Again, the Hornets, one of the worst teams in the NBA, rocking an 8-28 record. This shouldn't be really competitive. I mean, obviously, any given day, you know, any team can knock off another team. But wow. Heat 3-2 in the last 5 games. You know, they were on fire earlier. They're trying to like stay the course, if you will, like, you know, like any good captain would do of a ship. Try to keep the course correct. And so, you know, 3-2 is not bad. It's not great, but it's not bad. It's better than 500, so, you know, we're not going to complain there. But this team also has, you know, a higher ceiling than how they're playing. And I believe that eventually, once they get all healthy again, which is the key every year from Miami since LeBron left, is to get healthy somehow. You know, they can find themselves back into the playoff picture as they did last year. Things keep going the way they're doing, they should make it, but hopefully they're going to be, you know, a full tilt and ready to go. Tyler Hero should be returning soon. Obviously, didn't play this final game, or this last game, say the final game, but the last game, and that's something that they'll be looking for him, especially as he continues to mature in his basketball, you know, IQ increases, along with the rest of, you know, everything else that he has going for him. The kid's a very bright young player. He's just got to continue to develop, continue to get better, and continue to work his craft. And if he does it, I think he could end up being huge for Miami down the stretch. But right now, Miami playing okay basketball, enough for 3-2 in the last 5. And like I said, heading into the next game, they should be able to make that 4-2 over the last 6. And, you know, go from there, you know. So that's what's going on there for Miami. Again, you know, Tyler Hero should be coming back soon. Bam Adebayo playing at a high level right now for Miami. Hopefully he can continue doing that. And if he does, they'll continue to win. Simple as that. The Magic, on the other hand, after suffering that loss against the Heat, they're going to visit the Thunder tonight. The Thunder, quietly one of the better basketball teams here in the league. They've been playing extremely well this season, rocking a 26-11 record. That game's going to come to you tonight at 8 p.m. If you want to see some Magic basketball, they've played well against the better teams here throughout the season so far this year. And it's something I look to see them continue to do here as they get ready to go see the Thunder, who are rocking one of the best young teams in all of the NBA. So, you know, it's going to be a very interesting game. I think that every chance I get, I'll try to pass it over if I have it. If I don't have it, I'll follow it on the ESPN app, of course. But it's going to be a good game. I think it'll be a close game, too. I don't see either one of these teams running away from it. I think it come down to the final couple possessions. And, whichever team catches fire, it's probably going to be the team that wins the game. Magic, like I said, played well earlier this season. And it's been shaky the last two of the last four. So it's something that they're going to want to improve on, try to get those W's together. But again, that match against the Heat was a very good matchup. And both of these teams are very, very similar in their natures. They both have great defenses. They're both putting things together. Chainable offense, which for what I mean when I say chainable offense, is like they're scoring, getting the ball back, scoring again, getting the ball back, scoring again, right? Not allowing much points. Again, that's what happens when you're playing tremendous defense, and they just got to continue to do that. Again, if they do it, I could see them beating the Thunder. I'm not going to give you a prediction of what I think the score is going to be, but if I had to pick, I want to actually lead Magic way. I think that they're going to go back and pull out a W here. They're going to find a way to do so, and I say the score is probably going to be about 101, 103, probably 96, something like that. Again, I feel like they're going to have to pull it out late, but I think that whichever team plays well, which gives them a 50% chance, right, at the end of the game is going to be the one to take the game. Especially after the Thunder coming off that historic performance, winning their game against the Trailblazers by 62 points. This team could come out with a lot of momentum, maybe with their head a little too high, because let's face it, the Magic are not the Trailblazers, right? So good luck, Magic. Hope you guys win your game against the Thunder. After that, you guys are going to go see the Knicks. The Knicks are playing about the same kind of basketball you guys are playing right now. They're rocking a 22-16 record. So they're a game ahead of the Magic, but not to be outdone. The Magic are talented enough to be able to hang with them and be able to stick in that game, with possibly win it. So we'll have to see what happens, But, again, I think that they can win these next two games. If they do that, they'll improve to 23-17 and help keep setting themselves up for, get into the playoffs. I think they'll be able to make it as long as they continue playing the way that they have been, slightly better. But if they continue to do so, they'll be fine. Again, 2-2 in their last four. A little bit of improvements here and there, and they'll be good to go. That game against the Knicks is going to come to you in the form Monday night, January 15th, 3 p.m. Obviously, I'm going to be watching the Bucks game. So, if I get the chance to turn it over, I will. But I'm going to most likely be keeping it locked on that channel. Of course, there's also Monday Night Raw that I'll be bouncing back and forth to. We can talk about that as well. If you guys want to hit me up on Twitter or Instagram or anything like that, which I'm active on there, guys. So, come holler at me. Give me your thoughts. Give me your ideas. Especially if it's, sports related, always talking sports there. And realistically speaking, it's going to be a very interesting ball game again, because these are two teams that are both kind of vying for the playoffs, rocking a similar record, and I think that the Magic have a good chance at winning this game. So look out for those two games, guys. That's what's going on there in the NBA. Of course, we only have two teams, so our 3 teams of football, so, nothing else to talk about from that standpoint. It's going to be exciting. It's going to be exciting, guys. I can't wait, personally. Let's go ahead and slide over to the NHL. The Bolts, right? So the Bolts, right? They're playing good hockey at the moment. They're doing better now than they have been the last few weeks, which is something I like to see. Their improvements have been adjusting very well in the last few games, and they've been 3-1 in the last 4, so that's obviously a big plus. We're looking to extend that as we get ready to go see the Ducks, who aren't exactly playing good hockey right now. We're going to try to turn that to a 4-1 in the last 5. That would be great news, obviously, for our boys. I think obviously they're going to win the game comfortably, but, it's the right time to get hot. For all intents and purposes, I think it's the right time for the Bolts to get hot. Now is a great time for them to do so, and it looks like they're trying to do that, as we speak. That game is going to be tonight at 7 p.m., in case you want to see some Bolts hockey. They're going to be playing again the Wild. Not the Wild, but the Ducks. The Wild is going to be the following game. I'll tell you about that in a second. But again, the Ducks not exactly playing great hockey at the moment, and neither are the Wild. So we should have 2 back-to-back wins here. If we're able to do that, that will increase our record to 23, 17-5. As of right now, we are currently 21, 17-5 with we're +4. So, that's always something to be excited about, something to try to write home about as we continue to get better, and better and better and better. That's the idea here, guys, for the Bolts. So tonight, 7 p.m., Bolts, Ducks. Check that game out. Ducks rocking a 16-26-1 record, just for reference. All right, so when I say they're not playing good hockey, I mean they're not 500 or better. So that's what's going on with the Ducks. The next game is going to be against the Wild. That game is going to be Thursday, January 18th, 7 p.m. So we got a little bit of a stretch here before the Bolts play any hockey again, okay? They're going to get a little chance, catch a break, get healthy. We'll see what happens there. And like I said, I think that the Bolts win both of these games pretty comfortably, score multiple goals, and I think that they'll be able to slide into into next week with a 5-1 in the last 6. My bad. They'll be 5-1 in the last 6, and we'll be approaching the middle of the season. You couldn't ask for it to be too much better, especially after the stretch that we've had over the last 3 years. So there you go. Good job, Bolts. Really like what you guys got going on right now, and hopefully you guys can just continue find that success again. 3-1 in the last 4. Just got to build upon that. Keep the momentum on your side. Keep playing tremendous defense as you've been doing this past week, and let's find some rhythm on offense to score some goals, huh? That's what's going on there for the Bolts, guys. Let's go ahead and get into our second and last break of the evening. When we get back, we'll rock things out, or we'll close things out, I should say, with college basketball and a few food for thought. And then I'll send you on your way and get you back here for next week. So keep it locked here, Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pujols, your host, and as always is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
IE Sports Radio fans, it's your boy, the SoCal Saint, the host of the premier professional wrestling podcast online today, the IE Elite Wrestling Show. If you're a fan and have a passion for the world of professional wrestling, this is the show for you. I take you inside the ropes with all the athleticism, high-flying, and hard-hitting action, and then we take it backstage with all the backstage drama and backstabbing that goes on in the world of professional wrestling today. If something's going on in the world of professional wrestling, rest assured, the SoCal Saint knows what's going on, and he's going to let you know too. If you're a fan, check us out every Tuesday, 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, only on IE Sports Radio. The IE Elite Wrestling Show, your direct feed for all that is professional wrestling, on the only network that is your direct feed for all that is sports. Check us out.
You know, I'm a big fan of pro wrestling personally. I think what it is there's a lot of different ways to enjoy life, and I think that's one of the ways to do it. Pro wrestling, a lot of storytelling, a lot of characters, good and bad. Obviously there's going to be things you agree with, things you don't agree with, but I think it adds an element to entertainment, and we've seen a lot of people really take off, through, pro wrestling and really make themselves something bigger. Some have translated martial arts, some have become movie stars, some have made music. You name it, it's a platform, right? So, always something cool to check out. I myself are going to be watching it all next week. We got a show tonight, Collision, AEW Collision. So, check that one out, guys. But this right here is Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name is Corey Pujols, your host. And as always, is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. You guys, we got one more thing to talk about, which is college basketball. College basketball is getting interesting because we're at the turn of the year. And you know what that means. Everybody's going to start getting their brackets ready for the March Madness. March Madness is something that's very huge here in America. It's just, how can I say, college football hopes to emulate what college basketball does every year in March. That is the most apt description I can give you of how effective college basketball's March Madness truly is. And I think it'll be very interesting to see what happens once the college football ranks expand to 12 teams in the playoffs. But for college basketball, you get your invite to the Sweet 16, then it's the Elite 8, then it's the Final Four, and boy, let me tell you, it's like watching a great TV show and getting to the end of the TV show. That's what it's like watching them go from 16 to 8 to 4. To the final 2, of course, and then, whoever becomes national champions. Our Florida Gators have been able to do it a few times, and something that we're very proud of. We even won the NCAA men's basketball national championship, and then won the NCAA college football BCS championship in the same year. One of the few colleges to ever have done that. Something very storied. And speaking of the Gators and their national championship team, it's something that they were able to find successful in defense, which is something that they did well, predominantly, especially during that time. You got a couple of sharpshooters, guys that really know how to move the ball around, and a lot of teamwork that led to their success when they won those 2 championships. It's something that we seem to be building back here again. We've opened SEC play with 2 losses, but here we are. We were playing the Arkansas Razorbacks. We were winning that game 78-57. I believe there was about 5 minutes on the clock last time I saw that ball game. So good job, Gators. I'm pretty sure they'll get their first SEC win there. It's going to be big for them as they continue to put their pedigree together. My apologies, guys. Put that pedigree together as we move into the middle part of the season and we get ready to head into March Madness. Now, The SEC is especially interesting this year because we have a couple of ranked teams here. Obviously, losing those first 2 games to Ole Miss and Kentucky was rough, but Ole Miss and Kentucky, 2 of the best teams in college basketball at the moment. Another good team in college basketball is going to be Tennessee. That's the team that we're getting ready to go see. That game is going to be Tuesday, January 16th at 7 p.m. Tennessee is currently ranked 5th with a 12-4 record. The Gators are rocking a 10-5. The Razorbacks 9-6 for reference. So obviously the Gators aren't, a bad team. They're a very good team. In fact, matter of fact, probably one of the best teams staring outside the rankings right now, in my humble opinion. Again, Tennessee rocking the 12-4, the Gators 10-5, right? So we're going to find out here, especially after losing a very close game to Kentucky a few weeks ago, or last week, I should say, my apologies. We're going to see if Florida's on the rebound, if they're going to get better, or if things are just going to continue to have to be in rework and rebuild for this Gator team. I think they can win, of course, but obviously they're going to have to play tremendous basketball. They're going to have to play a lot like they did against Kentucky, but just finish it well at the end. That's one thing they just couldn't do, was finish. And if the Gators can learn to do that, they'll turn a lot more of these close games into W's instead of L's. Like I said, losing 2 of the last the last 2 games, not 2 of the last 4, but the last 2 games in general. It's just unfortunate, especially when you open SEC play. But again, open SEC play into 2 ranked teams. Arkansas is the first non-ranked SEC team that we've played, and then right after this Arkansas game, we go see Tennessee, again, ranked 5th. So, rough part early on. After that's going to start to lighten up a little bit as the Gators move into the path to March Madness, which I believe they'll be able to make it. Hopefully. All right? Hopefully. Fingers crossed, guys. We'll see what happens there. Knowles, on the other hand, rocking a 10-6, very similar record, but they're over in the ACC. They played Notre Dame. They beat Notre Dame, 67-58. Good job, Knowles, in that rebound there. Knowles quietly on fire. I've won 4 in a row over in the ACC right now. Again, dropping Notre Dame to 7-10. Big W there. Next game is going to be in Miami, so all ACC showdown there for the Knowles in Miami. That's going to be an interesting game. Obviously, Miami, one game separating. Well, really, it's 2 games separating them. They're 11-4. The Knowles are 10-6. So, they have two more losses. But that's going to be an interesting game, guys. I think, obviously, that FSU will probably hang around, but obviously Miami's going to pull it out. I think Miami's going to pull it out. It'll be a better than 10 differential. In my humble opinion, yeah, it's a bit of a ACC rivalry in football, but not so much in college basketball. That game's going to be Wednesday, January 17th at 7 p.m. Like I said, Miami's probably just going to edge that one out. And speaking of Miami, since they've been rocking that 11-4 record, they were ranked, but they're no longer ranked at the moment. Of course, they could find themselves ranked again if they put a little win streak together. That's something that's going to start here with the Knowles, as Miami has lost 2 in a row. All right, so they will be playing Virginia Tech tonight at 7 p.m. with a chance to right the ship. Virginia Tech coming in with a 10-6 record, same record as the Knowles, also an ACC play. So those teams, Virginia Tech and the Knowles, obviously will see each other, as well as the Miami Dolphins the Miami Hurricanes will be seeing Notre Dame. Of course, Notre Dame not playing great basketball, so that should be a gimme game for the Canes. All right, so like I said, next game, respectively, for FSU and Miami are going to be each other. Very interesting ball game to see exactly what trajectory the ACC is going to head in. Again, FSU winners of 4 in a row. The Canes have lost 2 in a row. Momentum squarely in Florida State's favor. Unfortunately, I think Miami has a good enough ball club that they can, keep the game pretty close, and that they'll be able to edge it out when it matters most, especially there in the second period. That's what's going on, guys, there in the world of college basketball for the state of Florida. Florida Gators are going to look to try and, continue to improve. Knowles, they're on fire, man, and Canes, they got to find that fire again. So, we'll move into this game and see what happens there, and we'll take it from there. You guys, that's exactly, what I expect to happen. I think Miami's still the best team in Florida. So that's what's going on in college basketball, guys. Hey, listen, thank you guys for having it locked here at Palm Tree Sports Radio since the turn of the year. Obviously, new year, new desires, new ideas for growth, new paths to follow, of course, and obviously all those, decisions, they are independently chosen, by us, by the man upstairs. And with that, I just always like to encourage, to my listeners, anybody, family, friends, whatever you're doing, live a little bit, guys. Spend time with your family, enjoy the flowers, smell the flowers, if you will. And the world is just in such a crazy place. I'm pretty sure right now you log on any social media, you're going to see something just, like just wild, just off the rocker stuff right now, guys. But here we're gonna talk about sports, and we're gonna talk about things that make us happy. We're gonna talk about our favorite athletes and things like that. And this is something that a bit of a hub, to be able to find that peace, that happiness. And I really hope you guys treat it as such. I really hope it's that way for you guys. There's a lot of good games to check out this weekend, so make sure you guys watch these games. I will most definitely be watching them as the Texans score another touchdown. 44-14 Texans. If anybody saw this coming, please tell me, because I did not see it coming. I thought this game was going to be one of the better games of the week, and it's a landslide in favor of Texas. 30-point differential here off the back of 2 pick sixes. Incredible. CJ Stroud, we talked about it, right, guys? If you guys remember the show way back when last year before the draft, everybody was saying, he had a bad pro day, but I think he's still the best. No, there was no doubt that CJ Stroud was the most NFL quarterback ready in college football a year ago, and obviously he's shown that, leading this team to a division championship and to a first round wild card playoff win in the ACC. Congratulations to the Texans. This game is all but over. And with that being said, our show is all but over this week. Thank you guys so much for having it locked here at Palm Tree Sports Radio. My name has been Corey Pools, your host, and as always, is brought to you and powered by IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. Guys, enjoy your weekend. I know I will. I love football. What a tremendous time to be a fan. What a tremendous time to be alive. It's going to be a bunch of good games. This first game has been a good one up until Texans ran away with it, of course. But, I look forward to seeing you guys same time, same place next week. I do apologize for my congestion. I know it's a little noticeable, it's a little annoying, and I apologize for that, but that's from the weather down here, guys. So anyhow, you guys have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy the games. Go Bucks, go Fins. We'll see you guys same time, same place next week. Until then, peace.